So now we're in the home of Shital and Kalpesh Patel. We're doing our yearly program. Right now, I want to do the translation of this Tulasee Kirtan song that we did. O Tulasee, beloved of Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire is to obtain the service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has his wishes fulfilled. Bestowing your mercy upon one, you make that person a resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you will also give me a residence in the pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of the cowherd damsels of Braja. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maidservant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna prays, may I always swim in the love of Sri Sri Radha and Govinda. Now, I want to read to you because today is Ekädashee. So I'd like to read to you about today's specific Ekädashee. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, O Madhusudan, everyone say that name? O Madhusudan. O killer of the Madhu demon, please be merciful to me and describe the Ekädashee that occurs during the light fortnight of the month of Shravan, July, August. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna replied, Yes, O King, I shall happily narrate its glories to you. For just by hearing about this sacred Ekädashee, one attains the merit of performing a horse sacrifice. At the dawn of Dwapara Yuga, there lived a king by the name of Mahijita. He ruled the kingdom of Mahishmatipuri. Because he had no son, his entire kingdom seemed utterly cheerless to him. A married man who has no son gains no happiness in this life or the next. For a long time, this king tried very hard to obtain an heir, but to no avail. Seeing his years advancing ever onwards, King Mahijita became increasingly anxious. One day he told an assembly of his advisors, I have committed no sin in this life, and there is no ill-gotten wealth in my treasury. I have never usurped the offerings to the demigods or the brahmanas. When I waged war and conquered kingdoms, I followed the rules and regulations of the military art, and I have protected my subjects as if they were my own children. I punished even my own relatives if they broke the law, and if my enemy was gentle and religious, I welcomed him. O twice-born souls, although I am a religious and faithful follower of the Vedic standards, still my home is without a son. Kindly tell me the reason for this. Hearing this, the Brahmin advisors to the king discussed the subject among themselves, and with the aim of benefiting the king, they visited the various ashrams of the great sages. At last they came upon a sage who was austere, pure, and self-satisfied, and who was strictly observing a vow of fasting. His senses were completely under control. He had conquered his anger, and he was expert at performing his occupational duties. Indeed, the great sage was expert in all the conclusions of the Vedas, and he had extended his lifespan to that of Lord Brahma himself. His name, Lomasa Rishi, and he was aware of past, present, and future. After each kalpa, or day of Brahma passed, one hair would fall out of his body. The advisors of the king very happily approached Lomasa Rishi one by one to offer their humble respects. Captivated by this great soul, King Mahijiti's advisors offered obeisances to him and said very respectfully, "Only because of our great good fortune, O sage, have we been allowed to see you." Lomasa Rishi saw them bowing down, and so he replied, "Kindly let me know why you have come here. Why are you praising me? I must do all I can to solve your problems. For sages like me have only one interest: to help others. Do not doubt this." The representatives of the king said, "We have come to you, O exalted sage, to ask for your help in solving a very serious problem. O sage, you are like Lord Brahma himself. Indeed, there is no better sage in the entire world. Our king, Mahijita, is without son, though he has sustained and protected us as if we were his own sons. But seeing him so unhappy on account of being sonless, we have become very sad, O sage, and therefore we have entered the forest to perform severe austerities. By our good fortune, we happened upon you. Everyone's desires and activities become successful just by your darshan. Thus we humbly ask that you tell us how our kind king can obtain a son." Hearing their sincere plea, Lomasa Rishi absorbed himself in deep meditation for a moment, and at once understood the previous life of the king. Lomasa Rishi then said, "In his past life, your king was a merchant, and, feeling his wealth insufficient, he committed sinful deeds. He traveled to many villages to trade his goods. Once at noon, on the day after Ekädashee, that comes during the light fortnight of the month of Jesta, he became thirsty while traveling from place to place. He came upon a beautiful pond on the outskirts of a village. But just as he was about to drink the water, a cow arrived there with her newborn calf. These two creatures were also very thirsty because of the heat. And when the cow and calf started to drink, the merchant rudely shoved them aside and selfishly slaked his own thirst. This offense against a cow and her calf has resulted in your king's being without a son in this life. But the good deeds he performed in his previous life have given him rulership over an undisturbed kingdom." Hearing this, the king's advisors replied, "O renowned Rishi, we have heard that the Vedas say one can nullify the effects of one's past sins by acquiring merit. Be so kind as to give us some instruction by which our king's sins can be destroyed. Please give him your mercy, so that a prince will take birth in his family." Lomasa Rishi said, "There is an Ekädashee called Putrada, which comes during the light fortnight of the month of Shravan. On this day, all of you, including the king, should fast and stay awake all night, strictly following the rules and regulations. Then you should give the king whatever merit you gain by this fast. If you follow these instructions of mine, he will surely be blessed with a fine son." The advisors to the king became very pleased to hear these words from Lomasa Rishi, and they all offered him their grateful obeisances. Then, their eyes bright with happiness, all returned home. When the month of Shravan arrived, the advisors to the king remembered the advice of Lomasa Rishi, and under their direction, all the citizens of Mahishmatipuri, as well as the king, fasted on Ekädashee. And on the next day, Dwadashi, the citizens dutifully offered their accrued merit to him. By the strength of all this merit, the queen became pregnant and eventually gave birth to a most beautiful son. Lord Krishna then concluded, "O Yudhishthira, the Ekädashee that comes during the light fortnight of the month of Shravan has thus been rightfully famous as Putrada, bestower of a son. Whoever desires happiness in this world and the next should certainly fast from all grains and legumes on this holy day. Indeed," now listen to this. Indeed, now this is Krishna speaking. How many of you accept Krishna? I know Kamlesh does. If you accept Krishna, then listen to what Krishna, this is the same Krishna who spoke Bhagavad Gita. It's not a different Krishna. It's the same one. Your Krishna that came to your country. He didn't come to Irvine or Aliso Viejo. He came to your country. Here's what Krishna now says to Yudhishthira. Whoever simply hears the glories of Putrada Ekädashee becomes completely free of all sins. That's why I'm reading this. I read this morning. I went, oh my God. Just hearing it, you're free from all sins. And you get it for free. I don't even ask for dakshin. Becomes completely free of all sins, is blessed with a good son, and surely ascends to heaven after death. So that's what Krishna said. Thus ends the narration of the glories of Shravan Shukla Ekädashee or Putrada Ekädashee from the Bhavishya Purana. So how does it feel to be free from all sins? Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja ahang tvang sarva papyebhyo moksha yashami ma suchaha.